Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Donna, and I'm with GENESIS Fertility. Conducting this evening's seminar is Laura Ibragimova, and she's the founder of ILYNSI Yoga. I'm going to ask everyone to hold all questions until the end of the presentation, and without further delay, I'll turn the controls over to Laura.
Thank you so much. Hi, Donna. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can boost your fertility with some healing practices, including nutrition and yoga. So once again, thank you so much for joining, and we will just go ahead and get started. Okay. So what we'll be talking about today is some common reproductive health disorders that affect your fertility, the connection between nutrition and fertility. We'll also talk about how stress affects your body and lowers your immune system, and how you can improve your mental health during your infertility journey. And just a little bit about me. My name is Laura, as we mentioned, and I'm the founder of ILYNSI Yoga, and we are an online wellness practice for women with fertility disorders. So we specialize in yoga and fertility, and our goal is to help you develop a strong and consistent self-care plan so that you can feel supported during your fertility journey, boost your immune system through targeted nutrition, and reduce stress through holistic and healing modalities, not just for you, but also for your partner, so that it can be a positive bonding experience. My background is in health and nutrition sciences. I have over 10 years experience in chronic illness management, specifically in legislative analysis, and also 6 years experience in higher education administration. And I'm also a certified yoga instructor and meditation coach. So to start us off, before we get into the meat of the presentation, I have a few exercises for you to help alleviate any tension that you might be feeling in your body from a long day's work or any responsibilities that you might be burdened with at the time. So let's all start by taking in a deep inhale and finding a comfortable neutral position on your chair. And come to the edge of your seat with a neutral spine, and then place your hands on your knees. Then take in another deep inhale, puffing up your chest and bringing your nose diagonal to the ceiling, expanding the collarbone. And then on the exhale, round your spine and release that breath fully. And try this for 2 to 3 more breaths, just to release any tension in your upper body and in your back. And just one more time, taking in a deep inhale, opening up your airway, stretching those collarbones, and then a full exhale, rounding the spine, compressing the front body. And then in the next stretch, these are side, body, and neck stretches. So coming back to a neutral spine, clasping your hands behind you and bringing them to the left side, dropping your left ear to your left shoulder, and doing a nice stretch. A nice side body stretch there. Then switching to the opposite side, so bringing the right ear to the right shoulder and then doing a counter stretch. And then coming back to neutral and bringing your hand to the opposite side of the body and doing the same thing, so stretching one side and then doing a counter stretch on the other side. And then coming back to neutral. So just a couple more stretches here. So coming back to your neutral spine. And if you're sitting on a chair that has a back, take your right hand and place it on the back of the chair with your left hand to your right knee, and then twist towards the right. Give yourself a nice back stretch, work on that back flexibility, and also massaging those internal organs. And this really helps to soothe the vagus nerve. Then coming back to neutral and then repeating on the opposite side. So bringing the left hand behind you, behind on your chair, and then twisting towards the left. And then when you're ready, coming back to neutral. So another stretch here really for the hips is to bring your both feet first flat on the floor and then bring over your your right foot onto your left thigh. And this can be intense enough for you to feel the stretch, so you can just stay here. But if you want to go deeper and feel more of a stretch on your outer right hip, then you can fold over. But make sure to keep your spine long and that you're not hunching your spine so that you can ensure that you have proper airways coming through. And just stay here for a couple of breaths. This feels good after a long day of sitting. And when you're ready, you can gently come out of the stretch, bringing your body back to neutral, and then repeating on the opposite side. So this time, bringing both feet flat on the floor, then left foot over the right thigh. And then if you chose to fold over on one side, then you can do so on this side. And just taking a couple more breaths here, relaxing, breathing into the stretch or any discomfort you might be feeling. And then when you're ready, you can come back to neutral. Sitting yourself back up, putting both feet on the floor. And then this one last stretch, this will involve standing up. So coming to standing in front of your chair, taking a deep inhale, and then on the exhale, placing those hands onto the back of your chair. Or I'm sorry, in the first photo, really just kind of folding over, hinging from your hips, and then folding over, grabbing both elbows. And this really helps to open up the back body. So if you ever feel any tension in your low back, this is a really good pose to do. Also helps to open up the hamstrings. So if you have tight hamstrings, this is really helpful. And then on the next inhale, coming up slowly, one vertebrae at a time, head last to come up to prevent from getting dizzy. And once you come to standing, you can go behind your chair, standing a few feet behind it, maybe 2 to 3 feet behind your chair. And then just place your hands on the top of the chair and then come to a forward fold from there, letting your head hang as you feel a nice deep stretch in your upper body and your shoulders. You can bend your knees here if you need to, if you have particularly tight hamstrings. Just make sure that you are getting in a really good stretch. And you'll feel this in your upper back, your lower back, your underarms, your torso. And the straighter your legs are, the more you'll feel it in your hamstrings and calves even. Just taking a couple more breaths here, enjoying this stretch. A lot of people actually find this one to be the most enjoyable because you get the deepest stretch here. And then when you're ready, you can slowly come out of this pose, coming back to standing. Doing a nice shake if you need to, just to kind of let out any remaining tension that you might be feeling. And then you can come back to a nice comfortable position on your chair or couch or wherever you are watching this from home. All right, so I hope that these stretches felt really good and that we're now in a much calmer, more receptive space, more relaxed and ready to take in all of this information that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Finding yourself back in your seat. In this next section, we're going to talk about some of the common reproductive health disorders that impact both male and female fertility. So this slide really gives a quick synopsis about the many different underlying issues that can affect female reproductive health. This one specifically is going to talk about female or reproductive disorders, and these can cause a lot of painful symptoms that reduce fertility. In some cases, you could also be asymptomatic and not know that you have an underlying issue that isn't impacting your fertility, and you'll only know once you start doing certain tests. So I'm going to just give a quick description of each of these conditions, but we do have a lot of free resources on our website that goes into much more detail, so feel free to check us out. Starting with endometriosis, this is a painful inflammatory condition often occurring in the pelvic region, and this causes adhesions, lesions, and cysts to form, leading to painful cramping, bleeding, and infertility if diagnosed at a later stage typically. It also damages the surrounding organs in the abdominal cavity. It's typically diagnosed within one of 4 stages. So stage 1 minimal, stage 2 mild, stage 3 moderate, and stage 4 is severe. The next condition is polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS. And this is a hormonal disorder in women causing infrequent or prolonged menstrual periods or excess male hormone androgen levels. And the ovaries may develop numerous small collections of fluid within the follicles and fail to release eggs regularly, and that may be impacting your fertility. Another condition is adenomyosis, and this occurs when the tissue that normally lines the uterus, known as the endometrial tissue, grows into the muscular wall of the uterus. And this displaced tissue continues to act normally with the menstrual cycle thickening, breaking down, and bleeding. Regardless of how it develops, its growth really depends on the body circulating estrogen, and this can cause a lot of pain, particularly in the abdominal region. The next condition here is uterine fibroids, and these are non-cancerous growths of the uterus that often appear during childbearing years. They range in size from small seedlings to bulky masses that can distort and enlarge the uterus, and you can have a single fibroid or multiple fibroids. And in extreme cases, multiple fibroids can expand the uterus so much that it reaches the rib cage and can add weight. Another condition is diminished ovarian reserve, and this is the loss of normal reproductive potential in the ovaries, diminishing reserve of the follicles, and can lead to early onset menopause. This does occur naturally with age over time, where women's ovaries start to stop producing eggs. And then there are other conditions that are not necessarily tied to the reproductive organs, but are autoimmune conditions that impact your fertility. An autoimmune condition really is defined as an inflammatory condition where the body attacks itself, leading to hormonal imbalances and miscarriages, particularly if you are trying to conceive. So if you have a diagnosis, then you might already be experiencing a lot of different symptoms and complications. If you don't have a diagnosis but are feeling some of these symptoms, then I want you to know that it's not normal and that you have an underlying health issue that needs attention. So some of the symptoms, generally speaking, across these different conditions would be heavy, painful, and clotting periods, nausea, vomiting, and severe bloating, throbbing, pain in the pelvic, rectal, or back areas, mood disorders, anxiety, and depression. Could also be experiencing some gastrointestinal issues such as constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, painful bowels or urination, weight gain and fluid retention. You may also experience pain during sex and low libido and infertility, and chronic fatigue or brain fog. Moreover, you can also be experiencing more infertility associated with miscarriage and premature birth, gestational diabetes or pregnancy-induced high blood pressure, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or non-alcoholic fatty liver, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, weight gain and fluid retention, abnormal uterine bleeding or cancer of the uterine lining, sleep apnea or acne, and depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. So oftentimes the burden of fertility is placed on the woman. However, studies show that over 50% of the time there is a male infertility issue. So I wanted to highlight that the importance of male infertility as well, or the issues that may be tied to some of the issues that you might be having. So for male reproductive health disorders, it's often associated with lower abnormal sperm, where the sperm may be immature, abnormally shaped, or unable to swim. And this can be due to an endocrine disorder or low sperm count. For some men who have undergone chemotherapy, they might be at a higher risk for issues with their sperm. You may also have structural blockages, so anything that blocks the genital tract can stop the flow of semen, including scar tissue buildup or inflammation. Another condition could be undescended testes. These are where testicles haven't moved into the scrotum. And in childhood, this could be fixed, but in adulthood, if never corrected, it will pose a problem. Erectile dysfunction is another condition, and that's the inability to hold an erection during intercourse. And this is also caused by a decrease in testosterone levels. And then there could also be a prostate disorder, which affects healthy sperm function and increases risks of other diseases. For men, the symptoms and complications to look out for include trouble getting or keeping an erection, reduced sexual desire, low sperm count or abnormal sperm, and that can be done through a semen analysis, pain, burning, or blood in urination or semen, pressure or pain in the rectum and low body, inflammation and scar tissue buildup in the sperm duct, low volume of ejaculate, so less than 1.5 millimeters, and fatigue, weight gain, or mood disorders. So unfortunately, we're not really taught in school or even at home about the risks of these different health conditions for both female and male bodies that can lead to infertility. And so many of these health issues are actually triggered in adolescence. For example, endometriosis or PCOS can often occur in early adolescence and early adulthood, but are not diagnosed until symptoms become a lot more obvious and have progressed. And with the rise in childhood obesity, diabetes, and other serious health issues, the risk of infertility is rapidly increasing. So part of the work that I do, a lot of it is spreading awareness of these conditions and early detection. So in this next section, I'm going to share with you the connection between your nutrition and your fertility. And many chronic illnesses can be prevented or even reversed with the right nutrition and lifestyle support. And when I talk about nutrition, I always use the analogy that we fuel our cars better than we do our bodies. But our body is the vehicle that takes us through life, and it needs the proper nourishment, not just from food, but also through self-care. So we'll talk about self-care as well in this presentation. And another thing to keep in mind is that when you're struggling with infertility, it may feel like you're not in control of your own body, but nutrition and self-care are completely in your control and have been found to improve both health and fertility. All right, so let's get into it. So your entire endocrine system relies on the nutrients that you consume in your diet. So when these levels fall short, your hormones are thrown for a loop and your reproductive health suffers. We'll talk a little bit about how this impacts your reproductive health with the egg maturation cycle. So it takes about 12 to 13 months for the dormant follicles to prepare to release the egg. And this maturation process speeds up towards the final 120 days of the maturation process. At least 3 months before you start IVF or are trying to conceive, consuming the following foods with the nutrients that I'll have in the next slide will really help protect the eggs from oxidative stress and preserve good egg quality. So studies show that consuming a monounsaturated fat found in olive oil, sunflower oil, nuts, and seeds was better than any other kind of dietary fat for would-be mothers. And those who ate the highest amounts were 3.4 times more successful during IVF than those who ate the lowest amounts. In contrast, women who ate mostly saturated fats, which is found in butter, red meats, and other types of food similar to that, produce fewer good eggs for use in fertility treatment. Studies also show that women who consume more protein-rich meals and less carbohydrates produce more blastocysts or blastocysts. So the foods that you want, or food categories that you want to avoid, are really dairy, alcohol, caffeine, saturated fats, high sugar or salt, or highly processed foods. And the foods that you do want to consume are unsaturated fats, whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, fish, protein, nuts, and seeds. Primarily, you want to focus on something called the Mediterranean diet, which is really high in monounsaturated fats. It's anti-inflammatory and really good for your gut health. That can help to reduce any oxidative stress within your body, particularly affecting your reproductive organs, boost circulation, give you more energy, and just keep you healthy overall. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this slide just to kind of give you an idea of the types of foods that you want to consume. And you can even add this to your next grocery list. But these foods have been particularly studied and show improvements in fertility as well as other chronic conditions. So you want to consume healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. These are monounsaturated fats that are healthy fats packed full of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that can minimize inflammation in the body. Studies also show that replacing intake of animal protein with greater vegetable protein intake improves ovulation, so start to incorporate more lentils and super greens as well. Cruciferous vegetables are great for detoxing the body from excess hormones, particularly estrogen. So if you're currently going through an IVF cycle or just finished the cycle, then you want to eat more foods like kale, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli to help detox the body of the excess hormones. If you have a digestive issue, then make sure to cook these vegetables really well so that you can avoid bloating or discomfort, because these are heavy in fiber and require additional energy for the digestive process. And the same goes for lentils. So you want to make sure that they're cooked really well. Also, you want to focus on consuming gut healthy foods. So studies show a strong connection between poor gut health and infertility, specifically triggering inflammatory conditions like endometriosis and PCOS, and also damaging egg and sperm quality. So gut healthy foods include pickles, olives, sauerkraut, kefir, miso, almonds, sourdough, bread, so anything fermented. And this will help to keep your gut microbiome balanced so that you can properly metabolize your hormones as well. Berries are potent antioxidants and superfoods and can really help to reverse any oxidative stress that ages the ovaries and the sperm. Fatty fish like salmon are really good as a source of protein and high in omegas, which keep inflammation down as well. And then herbal teas are a great alternative to coffee because they are high in antioxidants and can lower inflammation. Herbal teas like dandelion root tea, they also help with detoxing the liver and supporting hormone balance. And dandelion root tea actually has a really nice bitterness to it. So if you are a coffee drinker and you're giving it up for the sake of trying to conceive or through your IVF process, it's a really good alternative and tastes really good too. Raspberry leaf tea helps to increase circulation to the reproductive organs, and chamomile tea helps with relaxation and sleep quality. So if you're ever feeling stressed, chamomile tea can really help. Okay. So in this next section, you're going to learn more about how stress really affects your fertility and your mental health. So just want to preface that stress really is a natural part of life, but learning how to cope with stress effectively will help you build the resilience to get through your most challenging times. So Stress really does impact the immune system. Consistently high levels of stress negatively impacts your immune system by reducing its ability to fight off infections and increases inflammation in the body. So I just want to caveat that stress that doesn't directly affect your fertility, but what it does to the body can affect your fertility. So by increasing inflammation. Studies show that women with higher stress levels are less likely to become pregnant and much more likely to be infertile. And excess levels of cortisol is really the main culprit here. And this affects hormone balance in both men and women. So for women, high amounts of cortisol released in the body results in lower progesterone levels, which is needed to balance out estrogen and maintain a healthy pregnancy as well. And so, like I mentioned, stress contributes to inflammation. So studies show that 75 to 90% of human diseases are related to the activation of the stress system, with chronic inflammation being the main culprit. So this is really how stress can affect your physical well-being by increasing inflammation in your body. And so what happens is that when stress happens, it triggers a release of pro-inflammatory chemicals that are a natural immune response to attack what is considered to be invaders, causing damage by creating scar tissue around the organs and other tissues, weakening their function. And so if this scar tissue develops around the sperm duct or the fallopian tubes, then it may challenge the ability for the sperm to be properly released or ejaculated and to meet the egg during conception. So more studies are needed to determine the connection between stress and infertility. However, stress has negatively affected the body in many different ways. So it can cause anatomic disorders, it impacts hormone production and ovulation, it impacts hormone production and sperm health, it reduces conception and fertilization rates, it lowers testosterone and libido, it also contributes to erectile dysfunction, it lowers the volume of ejaculate, and it lowers sperm and egg quality as well. And a lot of this is due because of the inflammation. So I just wanted to help you kind of visualize this as well. So this is an illustration of what your body is experiencing when you're living with a compromised immune system, and also on top of that being stress. So one imbalance leads to a domino effect to many other imbalances, and your body is doing its best to correct itself through its natural inflammatory response. But because the source of aggravation has not been removed, it will eventually be overloaded and start to function on low energy. So when your body starts functioning out of whack, that's when inflammation sets in, greater inflammation sets in. And in the short term, inflammation is actually helpful to restore the body back to balance. But when there is a long-term inflammation, that is when diseases are triggered. And so I just mentioned that studies show 75 to 90% of human diseases are triggered by inflammation. So you want to try to keep that down through your nutrition and your self-care practice. So in this case, if you're visualizing what is going on in your body is working really hard to correct the imbalance. But if your lifestyle, stress levels, nutrition, any medication that you might be taking, any other diagnosis that you might have, and everything else around you is triggering more and more of an inflammatory response, your body's not going to be able to handle it, and that's going to lead to worsening of your symptoms. So when it comes to stress and unexplained infertility, studies show that over 70% of unexplained infertility cases have high levels of inflammation and oxidative stress. Detecting low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress are not routine procedures in fertility pathology, so often the only sign of these underlying conditions may be poor egg quality, poor fertilization rates, and recurring implantation failure or miscarriage. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself during your journey, in addition to improving your nutritional wellness, is managing your mental health. So in this next section, we're going to talk about ways that you can improve your mental health during your infertility journey. And it's undeniable that struggles with fertility takes a huge toll on your mental health. So I'm really going to explain why it's important to focus on self-care to reduce stress and offer some actionable tips on what you can do to prioritize your mental health during this time for both you and your partner. So, infertility can cause a lot of different emotional distress. It's associated with a high risk of depression and anxiety. So people who typically are experiencing infertility are 25 to 60% more likely to struggle with mental health issues. There's also the side effects of medication. So in addition to the physical side effects of the medication you're taking to support your go through your IVF journey, which are typically bloating, nausea, and discomfort, IVF medication can cause irritability and mood swings. There's also the financial strain, which can cause a lot of stress on your personal situation with you and your partner, because infertility treatments can be very expensive and can cause a serious financial strain, especially if you're going through multiple cycles. And then there's also the relationship troubles. The challenges of infertility can create conflict, tension, and resentment between you and your partner, especially if you haven't learned to communicate effectively or cope with your stress properly. So as a yoga instructor, I'm obviously very partial to yoga and I practice it daily. And the reason that I love yoga so much is because throughout my personal healing journey, yoga has been such a confidence booster. And for me, it really shows how capable your body is of doing amazing things. So when I first started yoga, I could barely touch my toes. Everybody starts somewhere, right? But just after a few weeks of practice, my body really started to open up. And then within a few months, I was doing much more advanced poses like balancing on my hands and even, um, you know, doing upside inversions and upside down poses. And so I've carried this mindset with me throughout my life. And when I was personally diagnosed with endometriosis, I started to really turn to yoga as a way to help manage my mental health and personal well being. And I truly believe that with the right amount of self care, I can improve my health and fertility, and others can too. So, beyond my personal experience, yoga has also been proven to offer many holistic benefits on the mind, body, and spirit. And yoga is a great way to calm the mind, connect with the body through conscious movement, and deepen your relationship with yourself. So, when it comes to managing your stress and mental health, I am a strong advocate for yoga and meditation, and I think that they are excellent additions to your self care plans. So, one of the first things is that it really helps to reduce stress. And we just talked about how stress can negatively impact your health and quality of life. But yoga helps to relieve stress by enabling the body to connect with the breath. And as you move throughout a sequence, it's the slow breathing is your body's built-in anti-stress and anti-anxiety mechanism that lets your brain know that you are safe from danger. This will reverse the effects of the stress hormones that may be released within your body and reduce inflammation as well. It also increases blood flow. So it's a great way to increase circulation to the reproductive organs and will help to rejuvenate the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and the uterus. And if you're experiencing blockages due to scar tissue buildup, increased circulation can help clear that away. Your blood carries nutrients and oxygen to all organs in the body while also degrading and removing waste through something called fibrinolytic activity. And so a yoga sequence or even an exercise sequence that is designed to target the hips and pelvic floor muscles will help to increase circulation to that area in a gentle way. And studies show that physical activity has a powerful ability to reduce inflammation in the blood vessels and organs, which can lead to a healthier and more energetic you. And then a little bit further along, yoga is really great when you are pregnant and helps to strengthen the pelvic floor as well as open up the hips and prepare you for delivery. So it's a great addition to your pregnancy self-care plan. It also helps to stimulate the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is what connects your gut and your brain and plays an important role in regulating your immune system. So as you now know, a weakened immune system has been linked to as an unsuspecting culprit in infertility. It can also lead to poor gut health and digestive disorders, which leads to a lot of discomfort in the body. So yoga helps to stimulate the vagus nerve, which directly relaxes the intestinal muscles and the brain so that you can feel more relaxed. And then your body will naturally enter a parasympathetic state, which allows it to focus on healing. And then it will also help to boost your sex drive. So the stress of infertility can reduce your desire for sex, but when the body is stressed, also all non-essential functions are suppressed, including the libido, and this affects your relationship with your partner. So I actually work with many couples, and it helps to improve communication, tension between you and your partner, and has a lot of benefits on sex, including arousal, orgasm, and lowering pain. So whether it's yoga or any other type of exercise that helps with circulation, this is an excellent way to help relieve stress, boost circulation, improve your immunity, and also just your quality of life. More than yoga and healthy nutrition, it's important to develop a strong and consistent self-care plan that will help to counter all of the stressors in your life, and also help to bring more joy into your life. Life can be challenging, but it's also meant to be enjoyed. So I realize that yoga might not be for everyone, and that's totally fine. But I am a strong advocate for finding something that really helps you to relieve the stress from the day. And that can be anything that's listed on the slide or anything else that, is specific to you. But self care really means taking the time to do the things that help you live well, increase joy, and improve both your physical health and your mental health. It can also help to improve your relationships with other people and become more of a bonding experience if you incorporate other people in your self care plans. So, when it comes to your mental health, self care can really help you to manage your stress, lower your risk of illness, and increase your energy. So here are some examples that I've listed, and feel free to add anything else to the list that you can potentially add to your self-care plan. So the first thing would be spending time in nature. This really helps the body to relax. It reduces inflammation. It helps to boost the mood and improve oxygen intake as well. You're getting much cleaner oxygen when you spend more time in nature. Sound healing is also really great. This helps to eliminate negative thought patterns and reduce anxiety levels, tension, and sadness, as well as diminish pain. Journaling helps to increase mindfulness, focus, and also relieves negative thought patterns and improves emotional well being. You can also think about some of the old hobbies that you used to really enjoy, or think about doing some new hobbies, things that you've always wanted to do but never got around to. Developing hobbies is a great way to increase your creativity, your happiness, and create a new level of purpose for yourself. And this is also something that you can do with your partner to enhance bonding. Another great part of your self care plan is joining support groups. And this helps to provide a sense of community and eliminates feelings of loneliness, judgment, and isolation. So, when you're going through a really challenging time, it's nice to connect with people going through a similar experience as you so that you can feel more supported. Therapy is also really great. It increases self awareness and helps you develop proper coping skills. I highly recommend during an infertility journey to develop shared partner goals because of the tension that it can add. The challenge of living with an infertility diagnosis or even just struggling to conceive can really put a strain on the relationship. So this is an opportunity to reconnect with your partner and a great way to offset that stress within the relationship, also enhance bonding and have more fun together. And this can be anything like dancing or a home improvement project or even just finding ways to communicate more. And then, sticking with the theme, eating well, improving your nutrition. Eating well really is the best way to take care of your body by fueling it with the right nutrients to keep you healthy and energized. And food really is meeting your most basic fundamental biological need and taking great care of your body. So I highly recommend um, taking some time, maybe a day on the weekend, and thinking through a self-care plan that would be best for you, whether it's through yoga meditation, whether it's developing new hobbies, learning how to cook for better nutrition, or really try to think about the things that you might want to incorporate in your self-care to help you relieve stress, not just from what you're going through now, but in general throughout life. So that's it for my presentation. I want to thank you again for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more about me and my practice, please feel free to take down my contact information and reach out anytime. You can check me out on my website, ILYNSIYoga.com, or email me directly with any questions you might have. And then I'm always on LinkedIn. It's a great way to connect with me, or Instagram for my top social media platform.